This picture was taken July 2016 and I crossed the finish line of an Ironman weighing 68 kilos. This picture was taken December 2024 and I crossed the finish line of my last marathon weighing 84 kilos. In just 8 years, I've put on 16 kilos. So like many people, when January 2025 came around, I knew I needed to make a change and I needed to lose some of this weight that I've picked up over the last 8 years. So the first thing I did is I had to realize and understand how I got to this stage. No one just wakes up having put on 16 kilos. So for me, I had to look back at what was my lifestyle back in 2016 when I weighed 68 kilos and what is my lifestyle and habit now in 2025 weighing 84 kilos. So in 2016, I'm training for Ironmans. That takes about 10 to 12 hours of solid training each week, running, biking and swimming. In 2025, I'm only training for running and doing a little bit of weightlifting in the gym. So I'm only training about 3, 4, maybe a maximum of 5 hours each week. So my actual training time each week has halved. Now, I haven't got any evidence of what I was eating or drinking during 2016, but I probably wasn't needing to think about it that much because I was burning so many calories. Fast forward to 2025 and significant changes have happened in my life. I'm married and I've now got 3 kids. That makes a big difference to your lifestyle and to some of the choices that you make. And it's those 2 things that I really feel have contributed to the increase in my weight over the last 8 years. The change in the amount that I exercise, which has decreased, and the fact that I now have a young family around, and that just brings different challenges into your day-to-day life and routine. Now, on a personal level, I needed to hone in a little bit more on this. Okay, I can't just blame my kids for putting on 16 kilos. They're not forcing me to eat party rings and hula hoops. So what precisely is it? Well, things have changed a little bit. When I come home in the evening now, my wife actually goes out to work. So I have most of my evenings at home on my own. I put the kids to bed, do the routine, and then I'm left with a house that I tidy up, put to bed, and then I think about eating. And that's where the problem was. I would come home, the kids would be eating their dinner, I'd probably snack and pick at some of the things they were eating, because let's face it, that's money on the plate that they're about to put in the bin. Then do all the nightly jobs, come down, try and find some food, and then that's when bad choices would happen. Pizzas in the oven, ready meals, or even worse, takeaways. And I don't think I was as honest with myself as I needed to be early enough. How many times was I actually eating really ultra processed food? How many times was I just snacking or grubbing down on cereal and toast before actually having a proper meal? Probably more than I would care to admit. And it's those lifestyle choices that have increased my weight over the years. So before you begin to think about what it is you need to do to lose weight, I would really recommend that you look really carefully at what it is that has caused you to put that weight on in the first place. That way you can really focus on how to solve the problem rather than just choosing a strategy and hoping it's the right one. So now I'm on to step 2, plan to change. And I've got 2 things that I need to focus on. Number 1 is to increase the amount of cardio and the amount of exercise I'm doing throughout the week. And number 2 is to make more thoughtful decisions about the quality and the quantity of the food that I'm eating. So let's focus on problem 1 first of all, which is the increase of cardio. How am I going to solve that? Well, I'm quite comfortable with the amount I'm running at the moment, usually about 2.5 to 4 hours each week. I've got no real plans to increase that or increase that volume. That's not going to change very much. So what I have done is added in the stationary bike, and I try and aim for about 1 hour to 2 hours each week. 1 hour on the stationary bike burns about 600 to 800 calories. So if I can do that maybe 2 hours during the week, that's a significant amount of calories burnt when you add it up over time. Problem 2. Now this takes more thought, and in all honesty, this is actually the main focus of the video and the main thing that you will need to focus on if you're trying to lose weight. The exercise aspect is important, but not as important as the fueling aspect. There is a saying that you can't outrun a bad diet. It doesn't really matter how much cardio you're doing. If you're not fueling the body in the right way, it is eventually going to catch up with you in one way or another, either by weight gain or by health problems. Firstly, I needed to work out how many calories I needed to be in deficit each day. So to do that, I needed to work out how many calories should I be consuming each day. I used a simple calculator that I found online, and I'll link to it below. Now this told me that my everyday calorie consumption for the amount of exercise that I do, and you need to be really honest with yourself about this, is about 2,300 to 2,400 calories. So if I maintained that amount of calories, my weight should stay the same. If I increase those calories, the weight will go up. If I can decrease those calories, then hopefully my weight will come down. So I needed to aim for a calorie deficit of about 200 to 400 calories each week. Now, this wasn't too drastic that I'm going to be left feeling drained and tired and is going to make losing weight a challenge because I'm going to give up. But it's also significant enough that over the course of the days and the weeks, that will accumulate and will lead to changes in my weight and hopefully my weight decreasing. So now I know how many calories I needed to be in deficit each day. I also needed to figure out, well, actually, how many calories am I consuming? So to do this, I used MyFitnessPal, and I just simply started logging my food to the very best of my abilities. I didn't want to go too draconian on myself because I wanted to make this something that was sustainable over time. I learned a lot doing this. I learned a lot about portion size, portion control, and actually that there are some foods that I should be eating an awful lot more of, but also there are some foods that it didn't take a lot for the calories to quickly rack up. Now, after about a week or two of using MyFitnessPal and tracking my calories and tracking what I was eating, I became quite in tune to the amount of food that was on my plate. And over time, I've just built up a bank of meals and lunches and snacks that I know if I stick to that, I'm going to be okay. One thing that also really worked for me was actually to input all the food I was going to eat that day in the morning. That way I knew how many calories I was going to consume, and it felt more motivating. I felt more inclined then to not snack and to not deviate from my plan, because I knew that if I did that and I did some exercise in the evening, I was going to be in a good calorie deficit that day. If I decided to go to the biscuit tin or the crisp box, then I'm going to spoil it, and it just didn't seem worth it. So putting in what I was planning to eat before I ate it really helped me with my portion control and with those urges. And then the other main thing that I needed to do, particularly to help with that portion control, was to prep my meals. As I said at the start of this video, one thing that I recognized was that I was coming home, snacking with the kids, putting the kids to bed, and then eating an ultra processed or high calorie meal quite late in the evening. So I had to spend some time over the weekends prepping my food. And actually, this wasn't too difficult. I just chose things that were quite easy to make, and I made them in bulk, weighed them, put them in the Tupperware, and then put them in the freezer. And I felt really good about the fact that I was being proactive about this and I wasn't being reactive. So knowing that in the fridge and in the freezer I've got a bank of 10, 15, sometimes even 20 meals was actually just a source of relief and comfort. I didn't have to worry about what I was going to eat and where I was going to get that food from. Something was already there prepared for me. And then the final thing that I do is I weigh myself nearly every day at roughly the same time each day. That's usually in the morning. And you know what? It doesn't really matter what time you weigh yourself, but what matters is that you consistently do it at that same time. So if you can only do it in the evening, that's fine. Just make sure it's the evening. And what I noticed is, as you look at my chart, the line goes down, then it goes up, it goes down, then it goes up, it goes down, then it goes up. And there were some days where nothing happened, it would plateau for a bit, and then it would go down again. So just have faith, don't give up. If you know honestly that you are in that calorie deficit, and you know you're making good food choices, and you know you're doing your cardio, burning those calories, your weight should come down. I'm now sitting at about 78 to 79 kilos. So I've lost about 6 kilos over the past 8 weeks or so, maybe 10 weeks at the time of this video coming out. And I'm really proud of that. I would like to lose another 3, maybe 4 kilos and get down to the mid 70s, maybe 74, 75. So I do need to continue with the habits that I've established over the last 2 months or so. And if I can do that, hopefully the weight will come down. When I've reached that ideal weight for me, which is about 74, 75 kilos, it's then just about maintaining things and just keeping things in check by weighing myself daily and by making sure that I'm keeping an eye on my portion control and my lifestyle. So there we go. I hope this video was useful. It's quite a personal video to make, especially when you're talking about weight loss and weight gain, and I know that can be challenging for some people, so hopefully I've presented this in a way that is accessible and realistic, because that's what this has been for me. This isn't about dramatic loss of weight. This isn't about dropping a stone in a week. Those things are not sustainable, they're not healthy, and they're not safe. This was really about making sensible choices and doing things slowly and steadily so that it's sustainable and scalable over time. I do hope this video was of use to you, and I'll see you in a new video soon.